Hello, Ranger Nation. I'm Todd Jones coming to you from the Greenwood Sports Studios as we bring to you the final edition of this year's Ranger Rundown. We're going to have Coach Robinson come in and wrap up softball. Coach Whitehead is going to talk a little bit about baseball and how that season went. And then we're going to end things with Coach Hill as he kind of gives us a little bit of an analysis of his first year as the AD here in Greenwood. So you guys stop planning for Mother's Day because it's Ranger Rundown time. All right, for this segment, I've got Coach Robinson sitting here next to me, and we're going to wrap up a little bit of the softball season. Coach, it's good to have you here in the studios, and interesting season, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having us. Yeah, definitely an interesting season.
I tell you, I think it feels like it's been about 10 years since I got to sit down and talk with you.
I know it. Time goes pretty quick.
I know,
doesn't
like 3 years, it's like twice a week for 3 years, and all of a sudden it's like, we're divorced and
Right.
we don't talk anymore.
I know, exactly right. I didn't even win in the custody. But.
Well, Coach, I kind of, kept up with the program from a little bit of a distance this year. Got to watch them quite a bit on the sports network, and got to see, the early success, and then, some of the, the obstacles that you had to overcome.
Yes, sir.
Once you kind of hit district, and I know that's not exactly how you envisioned the season going, but you've wrapped it up, and you've got another year under your belt. Let's talk a little bit about what were some of the highlights of the season that's going to stick with you as you go into next year.
Well, just when you look at the youth of the team, they really made a lot of stride. It was good to see. Almost I'd say 80% of the team's freshmen, and to see them step up to the plate, really kind of handled themselves really well. For the most part, we ran into that little gauntlet there for about 2.5 weeks, and we finally came out of it there at the end. If we just had another game, I felt like we were heading in the right direction again. But the positives of it is that they definitely learned what it's like to play long games, play a long, tough schedule. And district, our district, pretty solid top to bottom. There's no weak sisters in there.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, obviously, all four of the teams were eliminated in the first round because that North is just tough.
It is tough.
I think playoff wise, out of our district, I was looking at it. Seminole girls beat that team in the first round of the playoffs, and then lost in the quarterfinals to Canyon. So the soccer team beat West Plains in the area round, and those are only two wins that our entire district had in anything so far. We got baseball coming up, so it's just a tough draw.
It is a tough draw, and it kind of gets to the point where it's a mental thing. It's more mental, than athletic, because where you got the athletic ability, it's just we got to get over that mental wall.
The point I was trying to make is our district is a very tough district, but we just have to go up against that grind that's up north. But it is a hard district, and there's a lot of good teams.
You're right, and and I really feel like, and that's exciting for me, this freshman group. I feel like they're up to that challenge. I think they can do this, but we had to learn, grow a little bit, and try to figure out how to get in there with them.
Yeah,
and then when they do.
I guess out of the 8 non-pitching positions on the field, 6 of them were freshmen.
Correct.
You had a sophomore and a senior.
Correct.
Kind of in the outfield there. So,
yep.
I mean, you got a lot of stuff coming back. One of the things we kind of talked about a little bit after the season wrapped up, just you and I talking, was a varsity schedule's a grind.
It is.
And, no matter how much you play, travel ball, things like that, you go from having, a couple 2-hour practices a week and 5 to 7 1-hour games on a weekend to, 2.5, 3-hour practices every night of the week and a 2.5 hour game twice a week, and not including, what you do on tournaments. And that goes from, January till March.
Right.
That's a grind. So it's a little bit different mentality, especially when your team is 80% young ones. So
you're correct. And we tried to back off. I kind of was seeing that early on, that I was kind of worried about that grind part of it, and so we backed off a little bit on that time. You know, they're going to find out next year there's a little bit more grind there to do. And but yeah, it's just tough to understand that there's such a difference to that because you got that school day. I mean, you've got
Yeah.
everything involved, and so
And you had a couple of two-sport athletes that
right,
you kind of had to split some time with.
right,
I know two for sure. There might be a couple more, but
we had a few more, but you know, in season really, there was a couple that were big impacts for two different teams. So.
oh yeah, for sure. So what's one of the things that you want to take forward from this year, into next year? Because I mean, and you've always kind of had a really, I don't want to say big, but you've had senior classes, with 4 or 5 seniors, each year you've been here.
Right.
You're going to roll in this next year, and you might have a couple of seniors on the team. So, when you look back on that, how do you transition going into this next year, taking the experience that you've gotten with the girls this year, and how do you do that going into next year?
Well, I think it's going to be, the big thing for me looking at it is, you're not looking at the end of the road really. You can take that group and you can look further down the road and try to lay out a tougher schedule. Something that's going to be really meat and potato deal. Take them across the state, play some of these really higher quality teams,
Right.
And and you have the building blocks, and you'll be able to see the end of the road. It's not going to run out of time on you,
Yeah.
So this group, and it's kind of crazy. They are freshmen, but our past groups led into this group, and so they picked up a lot of different things that I'm hoping they'll take to the next thing that I'm really wanting to do. And so it's definitely going to be a tougher schedule for them, is what I'm kind of looking at, and see how they grow with that. The summer stuff, Mr. Savage and
James
Mr. Fortner.
Yeah, Fortner.
They're going to take them. They're going to play them around a lot of tougher competition, and I think that's going to be super beneficial.
Well, I think they even had something going on this last weekend.
They did, and they did well.
Unless Facebook lied to me.
They did right. They definitely did well, But the hope is that we get out there, and even in the summer, and James was talking about that, taking them to some more elite tournaments,
Yeah.
and so that they can see even better stuff. And that group, watching them coming up, they'll, as they move up in age group, might struggle a little bit at first, and then they figure it out. And then all of a sudden they're big dogs, and that's what I'm kind of hoping. Same kind of deal, is they step up another level and see what they can do.
Yeah, we're involved with a lot of club sports stuff like that, and we always try to challenge the team we're playing. Is play up, play against boys, whatever it is that's going to help you kind of try to take that next step up. Because if you're not practicing against a higher level, then you really don't know what you're capable of. And you kind of get a little bit complacent and like, I'm a good player, not knowing really what your potential could be.
Exactly. You definitely got to find out what am I made of, and sometimes you got to get your teeth kicked in to kind of figure it out.
Sometimes you have to play Bushland a whole lot to understand.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Bushland, Kahoma.
Bushland, Kahoma.
You want to know where you stand?
I can tell you they're going to be on that schedule next year.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So.
Yeah, that's funny. Didn't you play both of them this year?
We did,
Yeah.
and we did all right with Kahoma. The Bushland was
That
terrible.
was early. That was early in the season.
It was early, and we're going to host Bushland this weekend for their playoff game. And I was talking to Bushland coach, and this is something you build on, right? So I remember before that game, girls were just not focused. Everybody's out dancing and playing around, and Bushland was coming off of a pretty tough game that they had won, but their coach was not happy. She was putting them through the ringer. Well, when I was talking to her yesterday, actually, she told me that, they took our girls dancing around as just a lack of respect, and it just angered their kids. Well, we need to understand you don't do that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Take care of your business, and so that's a learning thing.
That's good motivation from a coach.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I knew we were in trouble when I was watching that. I was like, uh-oh.
Well, Coach, a lot of positives. I've really been impressed with your program since you got here. This is your 4th season.
Yes, sir.
I wish this would have been your 5th season. I would love for you to have been able to have Hannah for 4 years instead of just 3. But, I think you've done a great job in turning stuff around. I know that district didn't go the way you wanted to. It just kind of seemed like the girls kind of got trapped in quicksand. and
Yep.
the harder they tried to make something happen, and the more they pressed, the more it just they just kept sinking in.
That's a
And
good analogy. Absolutely.
definitely a good learning experience. You've got them for 3 more years. I
Right.
think there's a lot of coaches here that are really happy with that freshman group of girls that
Oh, yeah.
have come in and kind of have some big plans for them. So,
Agree. We're just missing one of those freshmen that need to come on out to softball.
well, we never know. You never
never
know. What? So, before we sign off, I got the last 2 questions I have for you is, so your senior class, you were with them for 4 years. You had them for 4 years through the ups and downs, all that kind of stuff. What do you want to leave for them as they exit your program?
Well, I kind of talked to them about that. Things didn't go the way we wanted to finish here. Overall season was good, but kind of what we talked about, and I hope they understand what I was trying to say is, we got here, we were at a certain level. They helped us change that level, take it up a notch a little bit, and that was their lasting impact, is steering the ship the right way. And now we
Ship.
just
Stirring the ship
Ship.
the right way. Ship.
ship.
Ship. Okay.
West Texas
Yeah,
twang.
well,
West Texas.
Just wanted to make sure we got that clear.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Well, okay, so Coach, what do you have that you want to say to your returners?
Get ready to go. Well, like you said, the word grind, that's exactly it. We've already going to drop the motto is, well, we're going old school next year, and they better be ready for it because it's going to be tough practice. It's going to be tough schedule. But that starts now, and they've got to get it going. But
Yeah, summer is the most important thing, and
that's exactly right.
can't take off. So hopefully those girls will get in the weight room.
And I have no
after it.
doubt that group will do it. They're workers. They're a very talented group and not afraid to work. So
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That you do see a lot of there's a lot of work there, a lot of athleticism there, and just got to figure out a way to refine it and get ahead in the right direction.
exactly right. And we'll see what the 8th grade group's going to bring us.
Yeah, what'd you tell me? Every year you need 3 girls.
Get 3 to 4. Give
Yep.
me 3 to 4 every year.
Yep. So you got 6.
We got ahead right there.
6, 7.
So that's right.
I guess you had 7 or 8, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you don't need quite as much help, but you got to be building for the future.
But you never know what's going to happen. Somebody might quit on you. We got to bring somebody back in.
That's right. You never know.
So.
Coach, it's always great having you on the rundown, and now it's always great for me to get to spend some time with you.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I did miss it quite a bit this
Oh, we
year.
need to get you back in the fold somehow.
We'll see what we can come up with
There we
next year.
go.
You guys stick around. We got Coach Whitehead to come in and wrap up baseball in the next segment.
Appreciate it.
All right, welcome back to Ranger Rundown. We have Coach Whitehead here with us for this segment. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time out and coming down and sitting with us to talk about the baseball season. So,
Thank you for having me.
so season wrapped up last week. You took on West Plains up in Lubbock, and man, I'll tell you what. So let's just talk a little bit about those games. So you played a really good West Plains team, really tight, and that Thursday game was something. How many innings did it go?
It went 9 innings.
9 innings. So in high school baseball, 9 innings is about 24 hours, right?
It seems like
It
it.
seemed like it. So that was a really good game. You guys were 1-1 basically kind of from the very beginning.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
a little bit about that game and what was going through your head while y'all were in the middle of all that.
We came out. We knew we had to play well. West Plains is a very good team. We beat them last year in the first round, and they graduated one starter. So we know them. We've been watching them all season. We came out, played well, threw well, tried to be aggressive on the bases. They shut us down on that a little bit, so they kind of took us out of our game. But we kept hacking away, pitching well, playing well, good defense. Gave up the 1 run early. Then when we came back, knew we were going to scratch one out. And when we did that, you could feel the momentum shift. And after 7, you could really feel the momentum shift. And they started playing a little bit tentative, West Plains. We threw Grayson 102 pitches. He begged to go back out in the 7th inning, and I kept telling him, no, your pitch count's too high. He goes, give me 1 batter. I said, okay, 1 batter. Well, he threw 2 pitches and got the guy out. And that's when I went out and got him. He looked at me and said, Coach, I said, we made a deal, 1 batter.
Right. Okay.
And then brought Ty in. Ty did well, got us out. And then that 9th inning, we had a few things not go our way and ended up on the wrong side of the stick.
Yeah. Baseball's a game of inches. You don't
It
think
is.
about it. Your game on Friday, it just seemed like you guys could not string two hits together.
We couldn't. We out hit West Plains, but we could not just get the 2 to 3 consecutive hits that we needed to really get people going and moving. And it was just baseball, and we had to wait longer than we expected.
Yeah.
With Abilene High and Plainview going 3 games.
Yeah.
So we were there. We got a lot of batting practice in, and it just, I don't know, it's baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you had a good year.
We did.
You guys finished third in district, made the playoffs. So always a good time when you get those extra practices,
yes.
get that extra time. You do lose some of you lose a little bit of your guys. You won't have everybody coming back, but you do have a pretty strong cast of kids coming back. And I think you've seen some promise in some kids coming up on your JV.
Yes, sir.
So what is it that you look forward to the off season, and what is your marching instruction for your returners?
Right now, it's rest. It's been a long season. A lot of them are going to play summer ball, which is good, and just want them to keep taking care of their arms, doing everything right, like we've preached all year long. Going into the off season, we're going to get back in the weight room. I'm a huge proponent of the weight room for every sport. I don't care what it is. We lift twice a week as it is now. We'll continue to do that. We do arm care every time, twice a week. Specifically shoulder work. We didn't lose anybody to a shoulder injury this year, which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
But we made that a point of emphasis.
Right.
And so we're going to keep doing that with the kids. Just remind them to take care of their bodies, and we'll get rolling again in January.
Okay. What message do you have for your seniors that are kind of leaving the Greenwood program?
Thank you. Thank you. Their leadership, their hard work, their commitment to the program was second to none. Just a heartfelt thank you.
Well, I know that those guys that are leaving this year were really integral in last year's team and this year's team, and so I know that's a class that has brought a lot. You've got some guys that are going to go on and play at the next level. I think one of them was playing at a really higher upper level there, if what I remember is correct. But I know that's a big important class for our program and stuff like that. I know they're going to be hard to replace going forward.
They will. That's one of the beauties and also the hardest thing about baseball, especially high school baseball. The guys get to go on to the next level and play. We've got guys looking. I've got a lot of different college coaches calling me about different players that haven't signed yet. And we have young guys who are hungry and want those spots and have been battling all year long, some of them for 2 years, some of them for 3 years. And you just get to go out, and it's like a new sunrise. It starts all over, and you just see what the season brings.
Yeah. Coach, was there any highlights on this season that you're going to take forward in these years coming forward and just be able to look back on that and go, man, I'm glad I got to be a part of it?
Just being the season as a whole. Watching the guys come together. Every year you try to piece everything together to get that right fit where everybody starts to gel. We had that this year. We had guys that worked while they waited. They didn't play a whole lot last year or were on the JV last year, stepped up this year and played huge roles for us.
Yeah.
And so it's nice, and it's why we get into business, to watch these kids come into their own.
Yeah. I didn't do it professionally, but I coached my daughters in different sports growing as they were growing up through the years, and that was always one of the neatest things is you get to see that relationship. You get to see those girls develop over the course of a season. I was really lucky in softball. I had a group of girls that no one they knew not to draft them, that they were kind of mine, and their dads helped me coach and stuff like that. And to see when they started out when they were 9, to see where they were when they were 15, 16, and then watch them play in high school and graduate. That means something
It
when
does.
you can see that growth and get to invest in their lives and hopefully have a little bit of good impact. Hopefully they remember the good things about you, not the bad things.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's pretty cool. And you mentioned the attitudes and gelling and bringing teams together and things like that. And I know that's so important. It's not necessarily about the skill set or what you bring, but it's about how you help make the team and the guys around you better.
Yes, sir. We really saw it this year. The guys coming together, guys stepping up in leadership roles. We had some vocal leaders. We had some quiet leaders. We had guys that just went out and just did their job. And the younger guys on the JV really saw that. They really watched the guys who just came out and did their job, did what they were supposed to, and did everything right. And those are the guys that we saw at the end of the season they're trying to emulate.
Yeah.
We had our younger leaders watching our older leaders and just doing different stuff like that. And probably one of I don't know how to say it, most rewarding things, we had players from last year's team following us. They would come to home games. We had guys coming to away games. Kai Compton, Hudson Grace, Toby Delk, Rance Purser. They came to games and talked to the guys before and after the game. Came up, shook my hand, and all that. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see.
It's good. It's good to have legacy, and that's one of the things that I love really about Greenwood as a whole is those kids aren't just here for the 4 years. I mean, they come back. It means something to them to be a Ranger or Rangerette.
It does.
And I think that's really a cool thing that's really unique about our community. So
It's nice to see. It's family.
Yeah.
And that was what we broke out to every day was family.
yeah. Well, Coach, like I said, I appreciate you coming in.
Yes, sir.
This first time you and I have kind of got to sit down, really kind of the first time we've got to meet. So it was really good kind of talking to you before we got started. And, I'm really happy for you guys and the success y'all had this year and
Thank
really
you.
looking forward to seeing what you can put together on the off season and see what
Yes,
we
sir.
got coming back next year. So really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You guys stick with us. We're going to have one more segment this season, and that's going to be Coach Hill. So we'll be right back.
Teachers and educators, we want you to be a part of Greenwood ISD. If you join us, we can offer you competitive teacher salaries, a new 4-day work week, paid health insurance, and a fully funded health savings account, stipends for teaching in areas of high need and tested subjects, scholarships and classroom grants available through the Greenwood Education Foundation. So scan the QR code below to apply today and become a Ranger.
All right, so welcome back. Sitting next to me to wrap up this first year of Ranger Rundown, I've got Coach Hill, our athletic director and fearless leader. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's
Man,
good to be back in the hot seat.
I tell you what, it's been a minute, right?
Oh, it really has. And I can't thank, you and Josh and Mr. Fortner for, making this thing last the duration of the school year. It's been a really cool thing for not only our coaches and our fans, but, being able to put some kids on camera. And, I think that's a great experience for them to kind of highlight their successes outside of what they do actually on the court or track or field.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you came to Josh and I about doing this, and you're like, well, we can start this up in a couple of years. I'm like, well, we're going to start this right now. And I tell you what, across the last, I think, about 25 episodes is what we've done this year. Man, I've loved every second of it. It's been a blessing, for me, and I've missed a couple, and James really stepped in here in the winter and spring to kind of help cover stuff and help me out with everything, and I couldn't have asked for a better group of guys to help me out with, and then Coach Thomas spearheading this whole thing, and it was your idea, so man, it's been great. I've loved it.
Well, I know you're pretty popular within our student athlete community. A lot of them, I'll be honest, I'm not sure they know your name, but they call you the Ranger Rundown.
I'm the
guy.
Ranger Rundown man.
The Ranger
yes.
Rundown guy. So,
yeah. So that's okay. You know what? I don't need my name out there. It's all about them.
Well, I don't know if that makes you famous or infamous, but one of the two. You're definitely known for sure.
All right. Well, I feel good about that. Thanks, Coach. Let's talk a little bit about. Let's wrap up. Your season. We've talked to every coach that's kind of come through, and we've wrapped up each individual sport. But this is kind of the wrap up of your first year. As an AD, I can't believe it's been 12 months since I tracked you down at a softball game and made you talk to me for 20 minutes. But it has been. So, how's the first year gone?
It's been. It's just been so much fun watching our kids compete across the spectrum of the whole year. Obviously we start with cross country and volleyball and football in the fall and transition into basketball and soccer, and then finish it up with softball and baseball and track, golf, tennis, and kind of get through the whole spectrum of things. And so when you're able to build relationships with those guys and girls off the field, when you see them in the halls or in the weight room, and then you get to go on game day and watch them compete, it means a little bit more when you have that relationship with with your kids and your coaches off the field. And so it's just been it's just been a whole lot of fun to watch us succeed through the highs and the lows, and just to know that the Greenwood Rangers are out there competing. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, not that everything in the world is dictated by championships won or anything like that. I mean, it is about coming out and competing. We can't pick, who's in our district. We can't pick who we play in the first round of the district, or how fair or unfair the sizes of schools, and things like that are. But, your first year, you come away, you get 3 district championships. You get a second place finish in district. A lot of your teams went into the playoffs, into the first round. So, I mean, I think there was a lot of success there, especially, with a lot of first-year coaches.
Oh, yeah.
And trying to build that relationship with them, and trying to build a relationship with the players and all the kids that are in your program across, 2 campuses, and, boys and girls and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I think you've had a pretty good year here as far as being able to put some skins on the wall, so to speak.
Well, we're, so excited for Coach Long and our volleyball team, securing a district championship, and Coach Fott and our boys basketball team following that up. A few months later in the gym, and then, Coach White and our girls soccer team, completing for a third-year program, an undefeated district season, and making a good playoff run. So those are obviously things that we celebrate and we're really excited about. But, our girls basketball team, had a second place finish in district. Our cross country programs were vastly improved from a year before. Our boys track, we finished second in district, second in area, which is pretty rare. And frankly, we're probably a drop baton from getting second at the regional meet, which is really rare to get second place and all those things. And so, baseball team competed well through the district season, and our softball team, we're so young. I think we started 6 freshmen and 2 sophomores this year, and finished just short of the playoffs. But I mean, the rest of the district better take note, because Coach Robinson and that crew they're coming. So we're excited about that for sure. There's a lot of bright spots, and as an athletic program, I feel like we've got some really good, now the season's wrapped up, some good senior leadership, but got a lot of young folks in the wings waiting to take the reins. And so I think 2024, 2025 is going to be special for the whole athletic program.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be invested in it for a while, that. This your first go around as an AD, right? And so you've been able to watch people, and I know, Coach, you've been, at the different college levels. You talked about that. You've been, at high school, things like that. And I know that you've been able to see, coaches above you, your managers, your bosses, and how they've got to deal with stuff and handle things. Is there something that you walked into this year that you're like, hey, I didn't realize I was going to have to do that? Were you surprised by anything that you had to do on the job?
I think Coach Martin at Abilene Wiley, the athletic director there, really prepared me and did a really good job of kind of giving me a taste of what it might be like. But it's always a little different when it's you sitting behind that chair, and when it's you making the decisions, and you don't have the benefit of being able to second guess other people's decisions. And so it obviously is a little bit a little different when it's you behind the desk. But coming to Greenwood, I heard that the parents were super involved and super supportive. But like I said, you don't really get to experience that until it's your job. And so we can't thank the parents and the booster clubs, and the late night trips, getting back, having a parking lot full of parents greeting our teams as they come back. And it's just Greenwood is, as much as they say it's different at Greenwood, it really is. And just getting to experience that firsthand was pretty special. And I think that's what makes Greenwood is the support from the entire community. And it's a lot of people think they have it, a lot of people claim they have it, but Greenwood really does.
That's pretty cool. That kind of takes away my second question, which was what was something that really made you feel like you were, at somewhere special. But that kind of covers it all. So I think that's really cool, and I really like that answer, Coach.
Yeah.
You could have gone a couple different ways with that, but I think that is something that makes Greenwood special. We just got off with Coach Whitehead, talked about that a little bit, and that the whole family thing. I think there's something really to that here. You don't see a lot of cliquishness
Yeah.
on our teams. I got to, firsthand. I got to see Emily coming out for volleyball, making the varsity team as a freshman. And your concern is how does she gel with girls who really aren't that she's not used to playing with or even used to playing with her. And
Yeah.
that team just took her in.
Yeah.
And like they had been playing together for years. And I'll always be appreciative for that group of seniors and how they brought her in. But when you look at each sport and all those seniors that we had, how special a class it is because they did that across the board.
Yeah.
And we're vested in building up a team as opposed to it all being about them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think across the country you see a lot of me, especially with the popularity of social media and recruiting and, that kind of thing. And people, want to make everything about them, especially in team sports. But to your point, and to Emily, the last time she played volleyball was in 8th grade at the middle school, and now she's playing with girls that can vote. And so, there is probably a tendency for there to be some separation there. But, I think, Greenwood is a truly special place, and we're able to put the team first and wrap our arms around each other and come together. And I think the future is bright in large part because of that mentality and that attitude that our players have.
Yeah. Coach, you spent a lot of time bringing in. We had some new coaches that we brought in. We talked about that a little bit, and we've got some obviously going to have changeover every year. When you sit down and look at a coach that you want to bring in, what are some of the qualities that you look at when you're bringing in staff?
Yeah, I think anybody across the spectrum, no matter what sport it is, any coach either knows their X's and O's or can be taught the X's and O's. That's not that difficult. But I think the best coaches are the ones that truly put the kids first. And even if that means they have to come in a little bit earlier than they would like to, or stay later than they'd like to, they put the program and they put the kids in their programs first. And so I think that's the first question you ask, is how do you build a relationship with a student that maybe ordinarily you don't have a whole lot in common with. And then the other thing is you've got to be able to get along with the other people in the school, be it fellow teachers or people you're sharing a coach's office with. It's hard to have a successful athletic program when you've got people rowing the boat in different directions. And so I think those are the two things that are most important. And then obviously you've got to kind of vet them for that role. A head coach probably needs to know a little bit more X's and O's than an assistant. But at the same time, head coaches want people that maybe accentuate their weaknesses and help them in those areas as well. So that's what we do is we spend especially this time of year a good portion of each day finding good coaches to bring in. Last year, I think on our staff we've got right at 50 coaches, and this time last year, or August of last year, I think 27 of them, this was going to be their first year coaching at Greenwood. And so, we're looking at over 50% of our coaches being brand new to the Greenwood Ranger athletic program. And so hopefully we're able to retain a lot more this year,
Yeah.
but at the same time, there will be some new faces, and we're excited to welcome them in with open arms and keep this train rolling.
Yeah, one of the things that I know you and I've kind of talked about in our Thursday meetings and stuff like that is you bring somebody in and you're I always felt as a manager my job was to help them reach whatever level of success that they could attain, and if they wanted, my job, I was going to help them figure out how to get there. I didn't want them to take my job, but, go get that somewhere else. And
Exactly.
so, I think over the years, and we've talked about this is, as people progress in their development and stuff like that, you hope that they're able to go get, an OC job, at some
absolutely.
premier school or become a head coach, somewhere else, or move from the junior high up to, a JV assistant. You want to be able to see that growth and development. You want people that want to do that, and you want to help them get there along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do have a coach that leaves for a different opportunity, be it better for him or her individually or better for their family, you're it's bittersweet. You're sad to see him go, but you're excited for those opportunities for that individual. But at the same time, it is a little bit of a learning curve for our kids, just because you've got one personality that they've become used to and accustomed to, and hopefully have grown to love. That's being ushered out the door, and but then you're bringing somebody else that's obviously going to have a different a different way of coaching, a different philosophy, different teaching style, and you welcome those people in, and there's kind of that few weeks where you're getting to learn and getting to know each other, and how that coach responds to different things, and so but I think that's true in life. It doesn't matter if you're a high school athlete, middle school athlete, or if you're working in the professional world. You're going to have people come and go, especially in management levels, and you're going to have to grow and learn on the fly, and that's what this whole thing is about, preparing our young men and women for life. And Coach Whitehead mentioned, we're so excited for those that get to play at the collegiate level and hopefully beyond. But the reality is that 98% of them aren't. And so what are we doing for that vast majority? And I hope that our goal is to get them ready for life outside of the halls of Greenwood High School.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I talked to kids that my daughters have played with, and I'm like, one of the first things I ask them is, how's it going? And I'm like, how are you doing in school?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
no matter how far you can hit a softball, no matter how fast you can run, the reality is that you're going to have to lead your life and be successful on something other than a court,
Oh,
or a
absolutely.
field,
Yeah.
or a diamond, whatever it is. And the dedication to the student part of the student athlete is going to be way more important for them, later on in life than what it looks like right now.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, it all athletically, it all comes to an end at some point. It doesn't matter if you finish your athletic career in 12th grade, or if you go on to play into your 40s like a Tom Brady. At some point, it all comes to an end, and you better have a plan for the next 40 years. And so, hopefully, our staff, I feel like we put a premium on preparing our young men and women for the next chapter, whenever that may start for them.
Yeah. Coaches, one of the things that you do that, means a lot to me is, parents, the community, they will see you at every sporting event. I know that you can't be at every one of them, but, you're at, boys events, girls events, football, baseball, you're sending out a tweet on this, or, something like that, and you're involved. And,
Yeah.
but I also see, and not only you, but I see your coaches at the middle school. I see Coach Kilgore. I think she's been very visible in, her working with not only just the middle school kids, but even the youth basketball programs, taking, a team of 5th and 6th graders to Big Spring to play in a tournament, and that involvement that she has. And a lot, and I single her out because I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know your other
Yeah.
coaches are doing that also. But, that's something that I think comes from the top. And I think you've got those guys involved with that. And I think that's great.
Well, I credit our head coaches. They do a really, really good job. Coach Kilgore, who you point out, I think she's coaching every youth team that the UIL will allow her to coach. She's heavily involved in building that program, and Coach Long does a great job. Coach Whitehead, Coach Robinson, all our head coaches do a fantastic job growing their programs, and that's part of your job as a head coach, is to coach the ones you've got, but also mentor and lead and grow the ones that you're going to coach in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And so, but for me, selfishly, like I enjoy it. I enjoy going. I enjoy going to those games and watching our kids compete, because you do know them outside of the baseball diamond or the track or the basketball court or whatever it may be. It's fun to watch them succeed, and when we don't succeed, it's fun to watch them overcome adversity and knowing they've got another one coming up the next week or in the next couple of days, and watching them rebound from any letdowns we might have. And so I thoroughly enjoy this job, and I've grown to love this community over the last 12 months, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll see head coaches at, club events, tournaments, even, I think we saw Coach White came to one of to a volleyball, tournament that we were in.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Another thing that I think is pretty awesome is when I walk around the training facility or at football games and stuff, I see coaches there and I see their families with them. And I think that's pretty cool that we get to see your families that they're invested in our kids also, and I think that's pretty cool to see.
Well, and it's important for our student athletes to see what that looks like. To get to know us outside of us, coaching inside zone or coaching how to throw a fastball how to make a left-handed layup. It's important for those kids to see how we are as husbands, wives, how we are with kids and that kind of thing, because as we referenced, a very small percentage are going to go on to play collegiate athletics, but a lot greater percentage are going to go on to be, a husband or a wife or a mom or a dad, or hopefully 100% of them are productive members of society. And so it's important, I think, to model that behavior, when you're around, outside of school hours.
Yeah. Coach, let's go ahead and we'll get this. We'll wrap up with one last question. You've got the 8th graders coming up. You got the freshmen becoming sophomores. Everyone's moving up.
Yeah.
The ladder a little bit. Championships were won or lost in the off season.
No doubt.
Right.
Yeah,
So
100%.
what words do you have for kids coming up from middle school, or the kids moving up one grade here, about the summer that's coming up for them?
I think the most obviously there's a lot of cliche things about the most important ability is dependability or accountability, and for us, I think that this whole off season is going to be based around being competitive, and because it's easy to kind of rest on your laurels if nobody's there ready to take your spot, but if you have to bring it every single day in any sport, whether you're the point guard, you're the punter, you're the shortstop, you're the the goalie, whatever that looks like. If somebody's knocking on the door ready to take your job, you've got to bring it every day in practice. You've got to bring it every time you take the field to compete. And so, I think we've spent the last few months working on our competitiveness. I think that's going to bleed into the summer, and I'm really excited about a great group of juniors to be seniors that are coming back across all our sports, and then just going to watch some 8th grade sports. We've got some pretty talented young men and women that are going to cross the street, cross 1379 and be on this side of the campus next year. And so I think, 9 through 12 and even into the middle school, I think the future is really bright, not just for the next academic calendar year, but the next 4, 5, and 6. I think the future is really, really bright, and we're going to compete in everything we do.
Well, Coach, I told Josh the other day that we're 116 days away from Childress. And we started laughing about that, how we were just ready for the summer to be over with so we could get back into that football booth. So I know you kind of feel the same, but we do have those 116 that give you a chance to work on stuff. So
well, we're excited about it, and again, I can't thank you guys enough for making the Ranger Rundown what was a little bit of a pipe dream, and maybe start it in year 2 or 3 to let's get it done right now. And now we're 25 or 26 episodes in, and we've got some great kids to highlight, some fantastic coaches on our staff, and that's not going to change. So I'm excited for season 2. I guess we'll get that kicked off in August, and it's going to be a great ride. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Apparently, our producer wants to go to some exotic location for the entire summer, and won't be here until right before school starts, and we got to try to figure out a way to bring this to people. But I just kidding a little bit. Kendall, but we do have plans to get that started up next season, and really looking forward to it as we kind of get in our groove and getting stuff put out there, because it's all about the kids. It's all about letting them have an opportunity to be a part of something special, to highlight them and their successes in our Ranger and Rangerette program. And man, I'm so glad that this was something we got to be able to do for this year and bring to the community. And I think it's been pretty successful. I tried to ruin it as many times as I could, with what I was doing. But, I think overall, everyone's been pretty receptive and enjoyed having it out there. So it was a great idea. I'm glad I got to be a part of it.
Well, we've got a great community, great kids, great coaches, a supportive administration, and there's nowhere else we'd rather be.
Well, you guys stick with us, and we'll give one little bit of a wrap up here. We'll be back. All right, so that is going to be a wrap of our first year of Ranger Rundown. I hope you guys have enjoyed what we've put out there for you. I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of this journey and allowing me to be here and do this stuff. Big thanks to Coach Thomas for putting this all together, doing all the production stuff, and making sure that I look as good as I possibly can when we go out there. James and Josh, I know you guys love doing it, and it was great getting to do that with my friends as we brought this to you. Guys, we will bring back for year 2. We'll get things started around the end of July, first part of August, as 2-a-days are underway. Volleyball starts, football starts, cross country is going to be out there running. So you guys enjoy your summer, and guys, don't forget, Mother's Day next weekend. You heard it here.
Thank you for watching the Ranger Rundown. See you next year.